The Facebook algorithm, seen by many as the most influential in the world, is receiving a great deal of criticism recently because the way the algorithms function on social media do not always appear to correspond with the user's interests.
We define success in a very narrow, biased way, in the way that works for us, but doesn't work necessarily for the people we're targeting, doesn't work necessarily for the public good. I think a good example there is the Facebook algorithm. The Facebook newsfeed algorithm has been optimized to engagement, which is to say to keeping us on Facebook, which is a proxy for their profit. But it has not been optimized to something that would actually be good for the public, namely truth or civil dialogue or just knowledge or information.
With their primary goal being to get us to click and spend as much time online as possible, Facebook and Google's algorithms appear to have gone wild in recent years. Jaron Lanier, a tech pioneer and writer, observed with ever-increasing wonder several online protest movements and the backlashes against them.
We can observe a pattern that's repeated multiple times, and I think we should accept it as a phenomenon that is real. And the phenomenon is that somebody uses modern social media in a political way, as a social movement, as a political movement, to improve the world. And then somehow, in the same setting, other people come along who are not just bad actors, but horrible actors, and then apply the same techniques to make the world worse, and much worse. So the backlash is more than one would expect. Now, throughout history, there have been plenty of backlashes against social movements, and yet lately we've seen a series of backlashes that are really extraordinary. So one example was the Arab Spring. So when the Arab Spring started in Silicon Valley, there was all this self-congratulations, like it is the Facebook revolution, it's the Twitter revolution. And all we have to do is let these people use our social media tools and there will be peace on earth and prosperity for everyone. But then what happened after a while is a much more difficult outcome where, and for various reasons, and it's different in each country, and it's not as bad in some as in others, but we tended to end up with a reign of terror more than a rise of democracy and prosperity, and we're still not through that. So the question is, why are the backlashes worse than the movements? And the reason why is that the social media by itself doesn't do anything. It's waiting for energy coming in from people. It's people's attention and interest that is the fuel that allows the social media engines to make money through engagement. And so when oftentimes these social movements are started by young idealistic people who are the most engaged, the most tech savvy, as they say, the most able to do so. And they start generating engagement. The young people in the Arab Spring, the young people in Black Lives Matter, and so forth. So suddenly they have input this fuel into the system. Now the algorithms have to say, what can we do with this fuel? And so one option is we will allow this fuel to only engage those people who started it. That is not very efficient. What's more efficient is to say, how can we use this fuel to engage other people? And let us be clear about something. There is an asymmetry, which is tragic, but is very real. And the asymmetry is that negative emotions are more engaging and powerful and easier to bring up and efficient and profitable and intense than positive emotions. So if you have all these positive emotions coming in saying we want something better, we want to support these people, the algorithms naturally, without any evil plan, will turn them into negativity by finding the people who are annoyed, the anti-people, and milking and milking and milking, because negativity is more efficient, more profitable, more engaging. So if you want to have an anti-fascist message, that'll be used to find all the fascists and introduce them to each other and put them into a cycle of more and more and more incitement. And that is the only way for these companies under their present business models to maximize their engagement and maximize their profits. The key issue here is addiction, and the term within Silicon Valley for addiction is engagement. That's our sanitized term. Two of the biggest tech companies make almost all their money from addicting people to services, manipulating their behavior for pay, and in order to do that, they must emphasize negative emotions like fear, resentment, and hostility over positive emotions because that's more efficient. And those two companies are Google and Facebook, and they must change their business model or else humanity will not survive. So when you're giving over control, it's not to an algorithm, it's to a company. And until you get clear on that, you're going to be taken advantage of.